Hi, everyone.
Greetings, everybody. We've done two episodes now of the Weaners, Workers, and Wise Guys. We haven't put up the document yet, but we promise to do that in the next few days so you can actually reference it. So no matter what we say, if we're going too fast for you, we just slide by everything. You'll be able to look at it more closely and think about it more when the document goes up. We ended last time by the scale. Remember the scale from... Actually, the scale was from 1 to 10, but the ratings were all from 10 down to 4.
Yeah.
Fail completely. 7 was competence. 8, 9, and 10 are levels of competence above each other.
Yeah.
Noticeably above each other.
The 7 8s tend to use the 8 9s as their go-to.
That's right.
For information that they themselves don't know.
So missionaries, Sunday school teachers, pastors even, go to the 9s and 10s. They don't trust their own judgment when it comes to the subtleties of the Bible and the Bible
to get
background
information and language stuff.
Yeah. We've hammered on this point before about you do need scholars. You don't need them to learn the truth, the simplicity of the gospel itself, but when it comes to Bible information and Bible explanations and being a competent communicator of the Bible and explaining it to others, you do need the scholars. Let's not kid ourselves about that. So we're going to read on the screen because we don't have a hard copy of this. And this next part is the test. There's actually references in these 3 tests to 3 Bible books. We won't tell you what they are yet. That will become clear, I think, immediately when we get into the questions. So if you're still unsure of where you are on the scale, somewhere between 4 and 10, we hope, not lower. If you are still unsure where you rate on the learning curve, here are a few tests which might help to mark the difference between the above levels as to sophistication of Bible understanding. The first test, the Diotrephes test. I'll go slow. Here's how you mark yourself. Give yourself a 7 if you know who Diotrephes is. Give yourself an 8 if you know in which Bible book his name occurs. Give yourself an 8.5 if you know what most New Testament scholars say about the historical problem associated with the name Diotrephes. And give yourself a 9 if you know what some recent Johannine, that is John scholars, are saying is at least as likely to be the tension between the apostle and Diotrephes. And in my own case, I only got to the 9 point when I was in my 50s. So,
and I've forgotten it. So I'm not there yet either.
Okay, that's. I haven't identified what the book is yet. You've got to do that for yourself if you want to get a 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Diotrephes, spelled Diotrephes. Okay, this one's a little easier because we start by knowing what the book is.
Yeah.
Vivian, the Revelation test. Okay.
Give yourself a 6 if you know what Jack Van Impe and most prophecy teachers say about the 7-headed, 10-horned beast of Revelation. Give yourself 7 if you know among which of the following teachers this viewpoint is common. A. Postmillennial. B. Amillennial. C. Premillennial. And D, dispensational. Give yourself 8 if you know which book, which chapter is the Old Testament source for this vision. Give yourself 9 if you know which of the following Revelation commentaries would be most likely to agree with the Van Impe interpretation.
And here we have a bunch of names.
Charles Walvoord, Ladd, Caird, Beasley Murray, Stott, Kuyper, and Morris.
So those would be commentators of various schools of interpretation of Revelation. Here's the clue, only one of them really is seriously associated with the point of view represented by Van Impe and would be supportive of that. The problem here, of course, is that most people get their information from TV ministries and don't realize that there's a great deal of dispute among
I wouldn't
true
do very
scholars
well
about these
in
things.
this book on almost anything. Except I do know the last one.
You do know the last one, but that's only after 35 years of mental conditioning, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Lastly, the Genesis test. Give yourself 7 if you know who Henry Morris is. Give yourself 8 if you are aware of what most modern commentators agree is the main purpose of Genesis chapter 1. Give yourself 9 if you can list the following Genesis commentators in chronological sequence. And here's the names: Delitzsch, Leupold, Calvin, Lang, Luther, Wenham, von Rad, Griffith Thomas, Pink, and Driver. Now those are all men that have written on Genesis, and I only can give you the list because I've been in the book business for 35 years. And you get used to this after you've been dialoguing with people for a long time. But a scholar can tell you the order of these guys instantly.
Yeah, I can't. I can do some of them, but...
When they lived. And why is that important? It's not just a matter of facts. It's a matter of, do you understand what all these men have said about the book of Genesis?
Yeah.
That is a very relevant point when you're talking about the interpretation of any text in the Bible. No one who cannot pass the above test should be humiliated, merely humbled. These samples of the depth of understanding of the teachers of the church should motivate us to ask questions about the sources we all ultimately depend upon. At the very least, we should be motivated to ask ourselves how solid our sources are. Are we dependent on internet? This was written some 20 years ago, so that's become much more of a factor now, as so many Christians seem to be. If so, let us realize that many internet sources pass on, without accountability, information which does not have the benefit of close editing, fact-checking, or too often, even the pretense of balanced research and analysis. This, we must realize, contrasts with the academic standards of the best seminaries and universities, where accountability and balance are built into the system. Among the first things one notices when reading the scholars who are rated 9 or 10 in the above chart is their caution, their balance, and another contrast with often partisan internet sites, how humble they are in their awareness of the limits of any knowledge of documents removed from us by millennia.
Despite these built-in limitations, thanks to the life-sacrificing labors of such Christian scholars, we have available to us more knowledge of the Bible and its world than ever before. Let us resolve to honor such teachers by keeping in touch with the fruits of theological research, exegesis, and exposition. By this time you ought to be teachers. Hebrews 5:12. And let us also balance that admonition with the caution of James, who warns us of the eternal danger of the undiscipled mind and the ungoverned tongue. Not many of you should be teachers, brothers, for we shall receive a heavier judgment. James 3, verse 1.
Amen and amen. So we'll put up the this particular tract in the next few days. Not sure when yet, but we'll let everybody know when we do.
Yeah. And you can get, I think right after this page you have a reference to He Gave Teachers, which is a document that is on the One Wonders web page.
Yeah,
So
already there.
You can get that. We're going to link 2 videos. One is How I Left the Watchtower and Landed Softly, which is David's testimony. And the second one is Reading Bible Commentaries Following Men. Are we giving double honor to elders who teach? We oftentimes hear that criticism that if you read commentaries, you're trusting or following men.
Trusting men, yeah.
And in the description of that video, you're going to find a list of Bible resources that you can find online that are very good, that give you the text of commentaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, in the video version of How I Landed Softly, where I read the preface of the He Gave Teachers booklet, I don't give you the list. The list you have to go to the website to get. And that's, I don't know, 12 pages or so, maybe 20, of the greatest teachers that we've come across up until the last generation.
Good.
See you next time.